Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Got all kinds of a sunny day. I just opened up this garage. Look at that, my battery's all charged. That's the battery, by the way. Anyway folks, a quick review and progress, I guess. Watch this thing fall down as I'm talking about it. Yeah, I know it's a little dicey. The trick is to stay far enough away from it and not to get in between it and something else, like putting one's arm in here or something like that is silly. First of all, let's do the review. The engine crane is the Harbor Freight one. I went with the 1-ton unit, and I deliberately went with the 1-ton unit because it gives you an extra few inches of lift, like 6 inches of additional lift. And let's face it, who doesn't want another 6 inches? And here you go. This is the model number. If it'll focus, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I guess it won't. Maybe you guys could see that. I'm having trouble. Anyway, there it is. There's the item number. It is normally $169. It was on sale for $129. Probably one could get it cheaper than that. I don't know if it goes all the way down to $99, but it'll go lower. Probably $119. If you know that really rare day, $109. I picked up some sockets and then got 20% off of that. Then I got a free multimeter because I always get a free digital multimeter whenever I go in there, because if it ain't free, it's not worth owning. So, and you guys could see I have to get stuff up on this platform. And I don't know if you guys know Roger O'Connor. Real good guy. Go check out his channel. He indicates that he moves around most everything with his engine crane. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I've been wanting to get an engine crane and maybe it'll work for me too. And obviously it does. What I have right now is, obviously I hooked it up in the center. And you know, you can turn this ring around to some extent, and I've basically turned it, and I got enough of it up there where, watch it fall on me, where this is loose. I can detach that now and you know, hook it up, you know, drag the crane backwards, hook it up, and then finish loading it on, right? So I don't need to break my back doing this. This engine crane, quite honestly, it works fine. You got to build it yourself. Make sure if you get it, you get 2 boxes. See the bottom box? It says right there. That kind of contains the wheels and junk like that. And then the top box contains all the long stuff and the piston. These legs fold up, right? You pull the pin, well, you just have to pull this pin, right? And the leg folds up and you put the pin back in that hole. I think you can, of course nothing works like it's supposed to when the camera's on. You put the pin in that hole and it kind of keeps it from falling down to some extent, but if you have the legs up, you know, as you're trying to move this about, the temptation is to grab the legs and try to drag it around by that, because they're up pretty high. But you want to also pay attention, because on their way down, if you get if you drop it and you get your foot underneath that steel wheel, when the thing goes whack, it'll give you a nice black toenail to think about. It was easy enough to put together. The only thing that was a little pesty was, see the way the bolts are? Well, there's another set deeper in, and it was you know, a little annoying to get the bolts on top of that. I ended up having this flipped upside down, and then I kind of balanced them on a socket and you know, started them that way. So that was a little pesty. This is obviously the first time I'm using this engine crane. Let me back up a little more so that you guys can see the whole, as much of the gig as possible. This is the first time I'm using this engine crane. So I can't talk about the longevity, as you know, is it going to last forever? I know that if these things go bad, you can buy them over the internet, and they're, you know, $50, $60, $70 items. What else could really go wrong that you can't weld up or replace a bolt, right? So it's not that hard. With these legs folded up, you can see the footprint, right? The footprint goes from there to there, which isn't very big. And then this thing, you slide it in and it folds completely down. So it probably takes between 2 and 3 square feet. So it's one of those things you could kind of jam somewhere. And if you slide it under something, right, you can lose that much space. So it takes up a couple of square feet. Fold it up, it's not that big a deal. I've looked at forklifts and electric forklifts and stuff like that. The problem is, if you have one of those, it needs to start. It needs to be usable. It needs to be functional, which means you kind of need to keep it in the garage. And by the time you put it in the garage here, right, how much space do you have for platforms and all that if you got a forklift in the way all the time? And a forklift would only be for this particular function. And if, once again, you're familiar with a forklift, it takes a lot of space to maneuver it around and so forth. So you probably want to park it near a door, and you probably want to have it so that you can kind of pick up things and move them out. And if you're after kind of like an off-road forklift, then they start getting bigger, right? The tires get bigger and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of need an off-road forklift because the ground here is slippery and muddy and hilly and all that kind of stuff. So I would need the clearance. Anyway, I do thank Roger for this idea. This appears as if it's going to work for me. This guy here is going to go up against the wall with the front tires facing this way. Once I get it up there, I got to see if I could get another shelf over the top of it and keep some things above it and all that I don't need every day, and that I could climb over there and get should I want them, but I'm not looking at them all the time. This particular unit happens to be a fairly clean 125, TRX 125. It is a 1986 model. I think you guys can see that. I've always kind of kept it garage. I have the key to it, the gas tank. I've started it. It starts. It runs. It seems to move. It just needs, quite honestly, a restoration. But part of my problem with this particular bike is it has no suspension, and I'm not dying to ride it. But I don't want to get rid of it either. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of putting it in a nice, safe area of storage now, to kind of get it out of the way. The second bike I'm going to put away up on top is this Mojave, and I'm going to put the plastic on them, and you know that'll cut down. Like, this is the Mojave plastic here, right? This huge pile. So it'll clean up this entire mess for me. Hopefully make my life better. I mean, look at this. I have Mojave plastic in both. Oh wait, this probably goes to the other one. That probably goes to the Lakota that's sitting outside. Anyway, but looks exactly the same though, so they are interchangeable. Anyway, I'll get the plastic on the Mojave and this guy, and that'll get a lot of plastic out of my face. There's probably a few other pieces of plastic that it's light enough I could put it upside down on top of the seat. So I'm really, really hoping this helps me clean up. I'm not really using this for what it's meant to be used for, right? Engine crane for pulling engines from a car. But for lifting up this all-terrain vehicle, I don't know. I think these things weigh somewhere around 350, 400. They're not crazy heavy. I could pick up one side then the other. So they're not really horrible heavy. And it seems to lift them up fairly easily. I don't think the let's call this 350. That's probably 375 to 400 pounds. The Mojave with the Honda 200S motor on it. So I'm hoping by getting those two particularly and all their corresponding plastic out of the way, it starts loosening up my life in here a little bit. I normally like having more than one project going at a time, and the way this garage is, I'm lucky if I kind of working on one out by the door there, so I got to get better, and hopefully this puts me on the way to getting better. The other thing I need to do, you can see why that one leg is kind of slipping in underneath there. That's good. But then you can see that other leg is hitting the tote. So that tote needs to come out of there, and I need to figure out what's in that tote and what I could get rid of from that tote. Okay, folks. Save your back. Go buy one of these. Go see your friends at Harbor. Keep your eyes on the coupons. If you're not... The way I work Harbor Freight is, once again, I keep an eye on things that are for sale, and like they have they call it a parking lot sale or something this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't one of these already set up that was last year's model that they're trying to get rid of, and maybe you could pick it up for $99, or they're on sale, they got a new manufacturer, whatever. Sometimes you could get a little better deal. For me, I wanted to get this done, and I wanted to get it done real time, so I paid the $129 with tax. I don't know, $140. New York State charges a lot of money in tax, $145. Though I guess if you take the sockets out of there, call it $140 with tax. I looked into getting these delivered, and it didn't seem like I was going to do much better than that, so I figured I'd keep the business local. There we are. Everybody needs a job. All right, folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. And it wouldn't be enjoyable to drop this on yourself, so don't do that. Okay, folks, take care.